All right, there we go. I should be unmuted now. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming to this talk. If you're like me, severe verification has been really a pain in the butt over the years. And so if I find something that's very annoying, I try to find a way to fix it. So I saw a need here and tried to put together an interface that makes it fun to do verification rather than a chore. So many of our data sources for severe verification are all disjointed. You have iris, you have AWIPS, you have GR, and you're trying to look on all these different screens and put the data and assemble it to kind of one area where you can focus on what you need to do. So this tool stitches together all of those data sources into one interface. And as one of our forecasters here says, seeing your polygons turn green is a dopamine rush, which is kind of the fun part of the severe verification helper. And not only that, but it has improved our office verification statistics, at least to some degree. We started using the tool in late 2021, and at least in 2022 so far, our verification stats are the best they've ever been. So at least part of that, I think, is in the way we verify, but also probably maybe a few operational changes in how we issue warnings too. The program, when you go to it, starts with kind of a clean interface with just the current radar and warnings displayed. Any warnings that have a red fill to them have not been verified. Any ones that have a green fill have been verified. And it's all interactive, so as you go along and verify warnings, the insides of those polygons turn green, like the one shown here. There's a lot of features on here. I'll start on the left here, or top left-hand corner. And so there's this little called no answer left message got a report feature. That's for all the spotters that eventually appear when you zoom in on the display. In the bottom left-hand corner, there's stats calculated automatically for all the different warning types on, up to the minute. LSRs show up as these little blue, green, purple, or red dots on the interface. The radar time that's displayed on the interface is showed at the very top in both UTC and local time. The ETN numbers for each warning, the event tracking numbers, are the black text in the middle of the warning polygons. The 60 would be one of them here. At the very top of the interface, there's options to show the start and end dates of the displayed data. And those, by default, there's a real-time option that automatically increments that through the event. So you can keep track of the radar and storm reports as they occur. City or lat lon is one of the map search options here, so you can just start typing and it auto-fills the city, or you can just put in a lat lon and it'll take you right to that particular spot. Same thing with the spotter name or IDs. Just start typing and it looks through your local spotter database and will map any spotters that you have just with a click, or just as you type. Let's see, the last clicked, anytime you click the map, it grabs the latitude, longitude of your click. So this makes it really easy. If you do have a report from a spotter, you can click on that and you can just input that right into iris. Because the two don't talk to each other, they're independent, but that's the best method I could find to kind of keep them kind of married. The option menu up in the upper right-hand corner has all kinds of good stuff for just showing what you want to see on the map, whether if you want to hide, if you want to hide all the severe warnings, or if you want to hide warnings that have been already verified and just focus on the ones that haven't. That's an option. There's a layer menu over here. You can change the base map. You can change your WFO. MRMS legend, that is an optional background, which the legend shows up here, but the actual options are down towards the bottom here. And it shows the 24-hour max mesh, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Low-level and mid-level rotations, or crest unit streamflow for flooding type events. And then all the LSRs, if you look down here, kind of show up with the remarks, and you can hover over them and it scrolls to that particular LSR. So that's really the interface in a nutshell. As I said, when you zoom in, your spotters appear in the map. And these spotters are your iris contacts. We basically pull them down for your site every so often and display them in this map. And anyone in the map, or anyone in the office, or even working on telework, helping with verification, can go in there and click on any of these stars, and there's an option that comes up if you want to mark this as, hey, I got a report, or it's a null report, or I left a message, or there's no answer, and then that syncs to everyone else who's looking at the interface in the office. So it's kind of a real-time, oh, well, we already knew this person called this person, so we don't have to call them again. It's really handy feature of this. Like I said, MRMS tracks, or some level, or some data from MRMS is showed, such as hail tracks and rotation, and that's really nice. You know, the day after, to come in and be like, oh, this is where the storm tracked, and you can quickly zoom in there, find the contacts, call the ones that are closest to the maximum values, and a lot of times that will help you get those warnings verified. A lot of the filters have been kind of brought into this option menu that I was talking about. It used to be at the top of the map. Now I put them in the option menu where you can toggle the different warning types and such. And there's a lot of other options, which I'll go into in the demo a little bit more. Finally, whenever you click on a warning, it actually snaps the radar to the time that the warning was issued. And if you check on the little box in this panel here, show warning text panel, it'll pop in this little sidebar to show you the actual text of the warning and also the SBW tags, or the IBW tags, to show you what the forecaster was warning on, if it was just a hailstorm or if they're looking at wind too. Gives you a little clue into what they were doing the day after. And then the call window option allows you to basically, if you have two events that run over the same location in a short amount of time, you can kind of focus on which events have already been called for the first event, and maybe the ones for the second one would also change. So in this example, 6 hours back, you know, everyone shows that they haven't been called. But if I expand that window at 100 hours back, you can see that all these spotters in red have been called and you have had reports. It's just a nice function to keep control of the time window. And again, when you click on any of those spotters, what happens is this little pop-up appears, and all you have to do is click on, yes, I got a report, or you know, any of these other ones, that automatically marks the box, or marks the little dot on the map, what you selected here. And if, you know, say you call a number and the number's been disconnected or whatnot, if you click on the info outdated, it'll pop up this other box, which you can just quickly insert, oh, phone's disconnected, or they moved, or type a reason right there, submit it, and then Krystal and I will get an email saying, hey, we need to update your IRIS contacts because obviously this person is no longer valid. So there's some functionality built into it. There's a lot of really nice features which I've largely covered here. The few limitations that I do have is the spotter data is not automatically synced with IRIS. Again, the two are independent. So if you are using the mark called feature in IRIS, it's not going to show up here. You'll get just an independent interface, which I use a lot of it, or we use a lot of the data for that. And then I don't have any raw radar velocity data in here because I can't find a data source except for the MRMS rotational tracks. So it gives you at least some indication of where the data has, or where rotation was, but not the raw velocity data. And then finally, when a new version is released, the application will let you know that there's a new version. All you have to do is click on that newer version available and rebookmark that as your new site. So that's a handy feature as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to go into a demo and then we can pause for questions here. So it just so happens that we actually had a lot of storms here yesterday. So this is what our current verification stats look like for this event. And as you can see, there are a lot of hail reports up here in the Iron Range. But let's zoom in, and you can see, you know, the spotters that have been called have already been called on the map. So the ones in red, again, this is the answer, or the legend for what these different stars mean. So there's some in here that we have not called yet. But if you throw on, let's just say, the mesh for this particular storm, you can see that, you know, these ones up here probably don't need a call because the storm tracked south of them. So you kind of, you know, you can gather some information. I mean, if the warning text actually had a wind threat, so we can actually check that out. So we can show the warning text panel. And if I click on this particular polygon, it's going to snap the radar back to that particular time. I'm going to turn off MRMS to clean up the interface. You can see there's our storm in question. And you can use the right and left arrow keys on the keyboard to increment through this through time with radar to see exactly where the storm tracked. And again, because I had that warning text on, I can come down here and see, oh yeah, there was a little bit of a wind threat. So maybe, you know, giving these guys a buzz wouldn't be too bad of an option. But you can sit there and, you know, move through time and see exactly where that storm tracked and then call the people that were under the storm. One thing to note with that is under the options, I'm going to uncheck the real-time updates whenever you're going into an archive case study, because sometimes you'll be looking at the radar here and all of a sudden it just disappears. The reason for that is because the real-time updates are checked and it's going to snap to the current time. So if you're doing anything from the day before, uncheck that box and it won't update the radar to the current time. Other things, let's see, like that call window I was telling you about, if you move it, really, back to 6 hours, you can see some of these people were called yesterday and maybe could use a follow-up. You can see how the different dots on the map change. Let's see, I was going to show you, the spotter search here. If you just start typing in names, you can see all of them show up. If I go to my name, you can just highlight it, enter, and it'll zoom to where I live and highlights me on the map there. Let's see, that goes for any spotter that might call in. You can even use their spotter numbers, whatever you have in Iris. So St. Louis County, maybe 186. Okay, yep, we have some right there. You can just find where they live pretty quickly. Same thing with searching the map by latitude and longitude. If I just wanted to do a city name like that, like I said, it shows you a list of cities and you can choose wherever you want and it'll zoom to that particular city. Let's see, that covers most of the features that I wanted to show. Like I said, you can hide the verified warnings like that, so those are all the unverified. You can also toggle off the different types of warnings. So if you don't want to see severe or marine, you can go out and see, well, how do we do down here? I think flash flood was, let's see. Yeah, we did have a flash flood warning. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, it's verified, that's fine. So sometimes it does hide it if you have that verified box unchecked. Other options, the Minneapolis office asked if we could basically copy all the emails and kind of do a email blast to anyone in a Polygon. So for example, this flash flood warning, if we wanted to click on that, we'll find out that that particular Polygon has 90 emails associated with it. You can copy those to a clipboard and you can just do an email blast from your account saying, hey, we had a flash flood warning in your neighborhood last night. You copy those, you paste them basically with Control V, and all the emails will show up in your web or your email client, and you can just get basically targeted storm reports, using that. Let's see, other options. There is an option for showing businesses. So you can come in here and just type gas station as one of those things that you would like to search for. And it uses the centroid of the map and plots all the gas stations. So let me turn the radar off here just for a second. And any of these you can, look over there, it gives you the phone number. And, so if you don't have a spotter in a location, sometimes gas stations are in the middle of nowhere and you never know, it could help you or any of the other businesses that business search provides here. Let's see, there's options for the LSR Polygon source. By default, it uses IEM just because it's less buggy. Otherwise, it's NWS chat. If the warning opacity is too light or dark, you can change that by just sliding that slider here. And yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell, unless I missed anything, Krystal.
Nope, I think you pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I will open it up to any questions anyone has, because I'm sure there's a few.
All right, thanks, Jonathan, and thanks for Krystal. It was kind of great presentation plus the demo, and the demo is always cool to, kind of cool to see how this actually works. I was really pleased to see the improvements there that you had to the verification numbers through having this extra utility. I've got a couple other thoughts here, but I did want to post here that or mention that if you have any questions here for Jonathan and Krystal, feel free to post them in the questions pane, or you're also welcome to raise your hand and I can unmute you. For me in the past, I've worked in a couple of different offices and doing a lot of verification at both sites after severe events, and this has been a nice capability to have, because I remember, trying to go back in AWIPS and get back to that present, you pretty much do the day before you lost the data, lost the data, and then You have, logging everybody down, who you called and everything, and this just makes a big improvement to that. Have you, you mentioned about, you're grabbing the IRIS context. Have you reached out to the IRIS group about maybe getting this as being something as a built in? I know there's kind of maybe a more formal requirements process, but just reaching out and seeing, hey, can we add this kind of functionality to there? Because a lot of offices are going through this process of verification.
Yeah, I actually did reach out to Matt Davis, and he said it's cool, but they're not doing any new functionality to IRIS until they get the IMS online. And they're going through that whole transition, and they have deadlines to meet for
Sure.
bare bones functionality. So maybe at a future time, but right now, syncing them is just not possible. Basically, is the gist I got.
Cool. I have one more question, but I'm going to answer. There's a couple that have been asked here. So what is the source for businesses on here?
Businesses is a Esri geoservice. It basically requires a string for business name or type, and it returns a list of businesses from the latitude, longitude center point that you provided, and a radius of, I think, 50 miles from that. So I just use the center of the map as the location, and then it has all the other metadata that comes back with it that I just display the phone number. So.
Okay, cool. Next question was, could you redisplay the site address for this?
Oh, yes. We do a fair number of updates, but it's a really long Google address. If you look at this long address,